This time, darling, just hold my hand. Be my girl, I'll be your man. I see my future in your eyes, and baby,
I'm Martin. I'm Martin Leipziger. I'm from Germany, and I'm from the east part from Germany, the city called Halle. Yeah, I keep traveling around the world since 8 years now.
8 years. Where have you been?
About 50 different countries I had seen now. I still kind of take my time to learn from the cultures, to live with locals together, and to experience more from the country. It could be possible, for sure. I could see like the half countries of that planet now, or even more if I would travel faster. But for me, it's important to actually learn more from the locals and from the culture. I think that's the essential part for my travels.
What's the most beautiful place that you've been traveled to?
This is a question that's pretty difficult to answer because there's not that one beautiful place. There are lots of beautiful places in different ways. My favorite places are, for example, Vanuatu, Solomon Island, Papua New Guinea, Fiji Islands. These are places where people are living still in remote tribe areas and living the same way like 10, 15, 20,000 years ago.
they are so trivial. So why do we see this miracle? That we're out here, right now as one.
Okay, main reason why I travel. First of all, I like really to learn about humanity, like humans, what's really the character of humans, what's individual characters of humans, what are main behaviors from human beings. When you travel, you actually can compare that a lot from country to country. You can compare the behavior from human beings, and then you see what is like an individual character and what is like a human kind of attitude. Other reasons why I travel, I like to see the nature, and I like to experience things firsthand. I think that's the main reason actually, yeah. To explore the world, like with my own feelings, like with my own eyes, with my own smell, taste, feelings. Because I think when I read things or when I speak to people and when I hear stories from people, I can't be 100% sure it is the truth what they tell me. Yeah, like in the beginning from my whole travels, I was looking too for spiritual experience and for ghosts too. Couldn't find any kind of ghost, I have to say, but it was a goal for me, and I went to remote areas to actually get that type of experience out there. Didn't found it yet. Yeah, that was another goal. So through my first-hand experience, I gather all that knowledge and try to understand the world a bit better on my own way, I guess, and not through the other eyes from other people or through books or through stories I hear from other people. I started painting actually I was 20, so my knee actually got destroyed. I got a plate inside, got a few screws inside my knee. They had to replace a ligamentum, so with a muscle. So actually my whole life changed at that point. Like I played volleyball my whole life. Then that accident happened. Car crashed me, and after that I couldn't do more sport for a long time, so I tried to find a way to just express myself. And then I started drawing more and more. I did it as a child when I was 5-6 years old. I did it a lot, but then I totally forgot about it, and All my world was sport in that time. So yeah, my life started to change in that time, and I started to express myself more and more just for myself. About 7 years I was drawing for myself. I didn't even have to show it to anyone. I didn't have to show it to friends or to family. It was just to express myself. Then yeah, about like four years ago, I was thinking, why not actually share that to the people, right? So I did that. It was in Melbourne, on the Bourke Street in the CBD of Melbourne. And since my first day over there, on the street, showing like my artworks, I started to make a living from that. So the last 4 years, since that first day, I just can live from my art and traveling around the world and share my knowledge through my artwork. So mostly I paint with natural materials, mostly with tea, coffee, wine, sometimes beetroot, sometimes ginger, sometimes turmeric, and lots of different colors out. Even you can take some grass or some leaves and smash them down, and then you have a green color, right? I started with coffee actually because I like the color. So if you have a mixture, if you put some coffee on a table or something like that, then you see the brown color, and this is what happened to me. I just saw the brown color on my paper at some point when some coffee spilled over. I spilled a bit more and more and more, and then I start to trace the lines, and from there I explored more and more through the natural materials and through the randomness, and I like to keep that going with that beautiful color. The brownish color is a kind of a harmony inside for me. So when I look at the brown, it's a kind of a harmony feeling. And that's why I keep that going, and to just inspire people to use whatever they like to use for color. Yeah, I guess that's the reason, yeah. The most of my artwork actually have a meaning, because I try to share my knowledge from my travels to the people. So I try to share my knowledge from my first-hand knowledge to the people, things I had experienced. And nearly every single piece of my for my artworks have a deeper meaning inside. I do that type of dreaming machines where I try to leave out the meaning 100%, and then I do the other artworks where it's more a kind of a social critical artwork, where I try to give our society a mirror, where I try to show what we do to ourselves at the moment and what we do in nature, what we should so preserve, and how actually a sustainable solution could be for the future. So I try to hit all of the different topics to actually make people a little bit more conscious and to make them more like aware about themselves and about their behavior in nature and to each other. For example, is this one here. Just take it out. If you like to have a look here, I call it the balance. It's pretty obvious when you know the name. In the beginning, for the most of the people, it's maybe not so obvious, but in the end, I use coffee first for the background, I use coffee for the city part, and I use black tea for the nature part. If you look really closer, you actually see it's a yin-yang. So we have a lot of city here, we have a lot of nature here, we have a little nature here, we have a little city here. So in the end, I like to show that we are now in a balance. About 200-300 years ago, we started to build the cities and build further and further. I think we are now on the planet on a balance. Lots of city, but still a lot of nature left. So this is what I like to represent here, to actually show we should keep it that way, we should stop to build more. This is one of my favorites. I like to show you just another favorite of mine. Maybe have a look here. This piece, I call it the whale voice. In this piece I like to show actually the voice of the whale. So I like to give the whale a voice to show us as human what we do pretty much wrong in the ocean. If you see it like from far away, the most of the people feel attracted to it because of the circle shape and because it looks so beautiful. But when you see actually the details, it's all about the destruction what humans do out there. I left out the rubbish here because I draw it like extra. I'm a rubbish whale. Here is all about the fishing industry, platform for the oil, the gas boats, the cruise boats, the container boats, the whaling boats. It's all about the traffic on the ocean. And then in the end we see the broken circle of life too. You know? And I used this coffee in the beginning here too, and then I use a black pen on the top. It used me about 2.5 weeks to draw that. About 6 hours, like every day. I have another one piece of my favorite. Maybe not too many people looked at it yet because it's maybe not so interesting for the most of the people, but for myself it's a really important thing. Can I have a look over there? So here I actually I use tea and coffee and wine. So here's all three together. If you see up here, I use the wine here, and down here the tea and the coffee. In the end it symbolizes Syria. If you see really close, it's not just a footpath, these are actually houses, like damaged houses, bombed houses. There's still people living inside. You see little tents inside, you see little bonfires, little ladders where people can climb up and try to make a living out there. But in the end, if you see like the feet here, the feet symbolize for me like Europe, how Europe just ignored the home from the Syrian people. So the last year, since the war in Syria started, no one really took care for it. And that made me really sad, and I start to think about how I can spread that knowledge more to the people, how I can make people more conscious and aware about it. Brings me happiness, what brings me sadness. I have to say, I figured out last year one thing. I went to the onsen in Japan. That was pretty amazing. Like just hot baths, cold baths, salt baths, sauna, different types of saunas. I had to say this one really gave me a big pleasure, yeah. Otherwise sport is still like what I like to do. After I trained my knee again and I got more stronger again, so I can make sport again, so I like snowboarding still, I play volleyball, do swimming a lot. Yeah, sport I guess gives me a lot of pleasure too. Meeting people, I figured out meeting people is a big thing in life. I traveled a lot for myself in the beginning, and even still now I travel the most of the time, I'm alone. And just to have no limits and borders, you know, if you're traveling like with people together, then they can kind of limit you, I guess, or you maybe limit them too. So I found it really nice to travel the most of the time on my own. Now I start to realize actually one of the deepest happiness comes from socializing, like with other people, you know, sharing a good time, sharing good knowledge. Yeah, I think from this point comes a lot of happiness for me. Sadness. Okay, I have to think about that for a second. What brings sadness to me? I mean, through my artwork, we actually can see what I like to change, what I like to make people conscious about, and what we can actually do in the end, like to have a sustainable solution for ourselves. And if we work all together on that, then actually we can reach that. So at the moment we're kind of draining in our own rubbish, in our own waste, in our kind of neglection and ignoring what is actually going on at the moment on the planet.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I get that question pretty often, and it's really interesting why we are actually like questioning that question, because when we are like asking kids, for example, what you like to do later, how a child can know what that child like to do later on, because they don't know all of that opportunities, what can come up. And I guess it's similar for me at the moment. Like there are so many possibilities, and in the next 10 years there are coming more possibilities up. So it's really hard to say where I see myself in the next 10 years. I actually see myself as a really happy person in the next 10 years. Sharing still my skills, sharing still what I got to share, and I have to say too, I appreciate a lot what other people shared with me. Like the last 8 years, I actually can do all that travels and get all of that experience because of all of the people they have supported me through that way. So just a little thanks here on the side. Thank you to really everyone who supported my lifestyle, and thank you. Yeah.
I don't deserve this. You look perfect tonight. Thank you.